chief of police both resigned today after a second night of protests. Of course, all of this is playing out just about 10 miles from where George Floyd was killed last year, and with the trial of former officer Derek Chauvin very much underway. The family of this weekend's victim, Daunte Wright, says it's not enough for the officers involved to resign. They want the now former officer to face criminal charges.
Say his name!
Daunte Wright!
They murdered my nephew! She killed my nephew!
So the now former police chief of Brooklyn Center PD said this week that he believes the former officer, Kim Potter, who's a 26-year veteran of the department, mistakenly discharged her firearm instead of her taser during the traffic stop. Well, Daunte Wright's death has not only sparked outrage and protest, it is raising many important questions about the circumstances that led up to his death.
And those questions include how and why a low-level traffic stop escalated so quickly. 9 News crime and justice reporter Matt Jablow looked into this today to get some answers.
It was Sunday afternoon in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, a suburb just outside Minneapolis. Police there say they pulled over 20-year-old Daunte Wright for having an expired license plate. A lot of people are now wondering if the stop was necessary or common. Scott Robinson is a 9 News legal analyst.
Police officers pull over people for expired license plates constantly, every day, all across the country. It's technically legal, but it certainly opens the door to discriminatory stops.
Police say after pulling Wright over, they found he had an outstanding warrant for a misdemeanor gun charge. At that point, they tried to arrest him, which has raised the question of why a warrant for a misdemeanor would lead to an arrest. Paul Taylor is a criminal justice professor at CU Denver.
Typically, in most jurisdictions, a warrant is an indication that a judge has ordered or a court has ordered that a person be brought before the judge. And a warrant typically results in arrest in most jurisdictions that I'm aware of, whether it's a misdemeanor warrant or it's a felony warrant.
And then there's the issue of the officer thinking she was firing her taser at Wright, when in fact she had grabbed her gun. So-called taser confusion. Professor Taylor wrote about the topic last year, naming about a dozen different cases of it throughout the country over the last 20 years. Taylor says the problem is that police officers' guns and tasers simply look and feel too much alike and are easily mistaken in high-pressure situations.
To fix these issues, we need a design change.
Professor Taylor says he fears that until those design changes are made and more safety measures are put in place, tragedies like the death of Daunte Wright will be repeated.
So there you have it, man, with Mr. Daunte Wright. I don't know if y'all remember former officer Potter. Her first name was Kim Potter, was the one who took the life of Daunte Wright, allegedly mistaking her taser for a weapon. It's funny how Rain's radar and Rain actually ties directly in and correlates with this story. Because the first question they were asking was, why was this typical stop? How did it become so violent? Why are we stopping people for such petty crimes? And it's very unique that even years ago, y'all, there was still somebody from Denver, Colorado, who was writing about this situation. So look how long it takes changes or for even people to get things moving forward when it comes to changing policies, trying to make changes. But what is your guys' thoughts about this situation? I know this was another one. I want to say we covered this as well before, but this is Mr. Daunte Wright. So his footage is the one of the former police officer pulling out her weapon instead of her taser.
She knew what she was doing. Okay, let me stop. Well, let me stop. Okay.
Yes, she did. You put that same utility belt on every day.
How heavy is a taser versus a handgun? I've never held on to a taser, so I don't know.
Not even close.
And how many pounds of force do you have to pull the trigger of a taser versus the trigger of a gun?
Now that I don't know. I don't know. I'm a grown man. I ain't never had a taser.
She knew how heavy that gun was in her hand, the coldness of the metal in her hand. should have been different from the coldness of whatever that taser is compiled of.
Okay, let's ask this question. Let's
Go
pose
ahead.
this question, right?
Mhm.
Let's pose this question, right? What is both weapons on the same side?
That's what I don't know.
It depends how you set up your utility belt.
Utility belt, right? So you should know where you put your utility belt. I can reach back and grab my clipper without looking.
And you're
I can reach back and grab my
veteran, a 26
years.
You know where your stuff is. You know where.
Bitch, please. Let's be real. Go ahead. I'm getting out your way.
So when she pulled him over initially, supposedly she was training too as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when she pulled him over for the violation for the tag, it was a tag, right? If I'm not mistaken.
You can just give your spiel. It's okay. She was already convicted.
Yeah. But what's a misdemeanor gun charge?
So she pulled him over for a gun, a warrant. Well, she kind of right. So I don't know if she was thinking in that mind frame, but he tried to run as well. With that, no, I'm not gonna say, but with that being said, he tried to run as well. But yet and still, that does not give her any reason to pull the trigger of a gun. All these people that are running, all these cases that we covered with people who are running away from a scene, are they wrong for running away? Absolutely. But yet and still, that officer is wrong for pursuing them with a firearm in the back or however they pursue them. And that they ultimately lose their life. If somebody's running away, you got to go find them later.
If he's running
if they're
away,
not threatening your life, you got to go find them later.
You got the car.
Was laying on the ground. There's so many of these cases out here and it's ridiculous. Every time that I have run across these cases where it irritates my soul when these person yes, they're a criminal or they're allegedly a criminal. Yes, you're trying to arrest them for what they're doing, but they are running away. That does not give you they're not threatening your life. That does not give you any, and they're not threatening anybody else's life. They're running away. So why are you pursuing them and shooting them, ending their life?
I agree with you.
Alton Sterling, that broke my heart altogether. What happened with him? And I don't know. We're gonna cover that later. I don't know whatever it was, but yeah, still all these different cases. It's the same thing. Oh, it was a mistake. Mistake? No, you took somebody's life.
When somebody's running away, you just left your car. You just left your whole car. I'm gonna take your car. 9 times out of 10, if you ran, you're gonna run somewhere close. We know who all you hang with. We'll just come and check you out later. But when we see you, now I'm telling you now, when we see you,
an extra charge.
You know what I'm saying? Now you got some extra charge. You know what I mean? Like going to jail for an extended amount of time is worse than you beat me up. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer you whoop me and let me go home than take me to jail. So I'm reaching on my utility belt, 26 years on the force. You don't know the difference between, like, I can't stand that. I cannot stand that excuse. That excuse is diabolical. You can't tell the difference. Put me in the room. I'll put this utility belt on the first time. Let me grab my pistol and let me grab a taser. Which one? They said, but you was in the heat. You was in the heat of the moment. You didn't know which one you was grabbing. Huh? You know which one you was grabbing. Okay. All right, cool. I'm gonna let you rock with that. If that's what make you sleep at night, that will help you sleep at night. I'm not buying none of this. On this one, I'm not buying none of that. 26 years on the force, you know better. I'm telling you, the way they see us, that's what we said on the social media mindset. The way they see us Is that what's got them in such a panic? And then the guy had him already. Why are you reaching for him? Go ahead, Souls.
No, y'all got it.
Richard said a professional shot someone by mistake. That's a mistake. Exactly. Uncle Plus said not a mistake intent. Penn said when you got cops who can't tell the difference between a weapon and a taser, you got a bigger problem than a warrant.
For real.
Richard said, get on out of here. Uncle Plus said, BS, you put that same utility belt on every day. Plus said, misdemeanor gun charges. What is that? Penny said, professor degree. Uncle Plus said, 26 years on the force. Richard said, guns feel like tasers. Stop that quick. They in different spots. Scope said, they hand those out in Illinois like it's nothing. Penny said, it isn't worth the ink it was printed on. Critical dummy skills. Scope said, but you know your gun laws are different than a lot of states. Penny said, it's bright neon glow in the dark yellow. It's yellow. Mighty said they are supposed to be on opposite sides so things like this don't happen.
That's not always true, Mario. I don't know. I don't know who you're speaking to. Like, I don't know who you know, but I mean, I have family members who are police officers.
Mighty said you have all their information and their vehicle can't hide for long. I'm saying, Penny said, and they face on cam if the body cam is on. Penny said that excuse is boo-boo.
Yeah, that's why you will see a lot of police officers now wearing it on their vest. Yeah. So because nobody's truly training with their non-dominant hand, so they wouldn't put things that they need to use on their non-dominant side. But you know, I don't know much. But the biggest thing is, I think this is why I always tell people that you have to be very aware of laws, right? Because I agree with everything y'all are saying, right? Well, some of it, I don't agree with all, but some majority of it I agree with. With that being said, she knew exactly what to say when she made the accident, right? Think about this, y'all. They have written a study before this incident even happened in Denver, Colorado, about how a taser is built and feels the same way as a gun. And I know people don't think this happens, but people who are very highly intelligent know how to get themselves out of trouble before trouble strikes. So in the middle of her panicking, where other people probably would have panicked, what's the first thing she said? Oh, I thought I pulled my taser. She already knew if I say it immediately, I can use it in the court of law. And now my attorneys can back. Like, it sounds crazy to people.
Mm-hmm.
But people like that, they are aware of what's going on. They're aware. And then somebody with 26 years, I wouldn't trust them to be on the road. 26 years doesn't mean you wore that every day. Y'all just seen, we just watched last week in Austin, Texas, police officers stand in the middle of a hallway. The chief was standing there with a cell phone in his hand instead of a gun. Like, your time on service doesn't, the longer you're doing something, the less you actually do your job. I served 20 years in the military. My last 10 years, I barely did my job. I was in a leadership position. So the longer you're on the force, the longer you're on the force, the less you do. I mean, that's just knowledge. The police chief is not out kicking in doors every day. So it don't matter that he been on the service for 35 years. He probably stopped putting his belt on every day for the past 15.
Damn.
So we gotta think about, again, I understand.
Free check.
It is. It really is. He said the study was funded by Blue. I put my life savings on it. Oh, yeah. Definitely. But definitely no excuse for that. But we're gonna move on to the second part of this conversation tonight, which is actually the verdict and outcome. this is where I think most of the questions should have been asked right here.
Attorney Jeff Storms and Attorney Tony Ramanucci. We have the honor of representing the parents of Daunte Wright and his family. They are very, very disappointed. They feel that very disappointed because they believe that there was no reason to have such consideration for the killer of their child. They believe that there is an apples to apples comparison. Many in the Twin Cities believe that.
Can y'all hear
They believe that
It's low.
Muhammad Noor,
I can hear it.
a black police officer who was convicted of a lesser charge of manslaughter 2, received a much greater sentence than this white woman who killed their son Daunte Wright. So it is an apples to apples comparison in their mind. They believe that in their heart, and they just don't understand why there was consideration given to the white police woman who killed the young black man and not consideration given to a black police officer who killed a young white woman. They are trying to understand it. We're all trying to understand it. What we see today is the legal system in America in black and white. And we continue to fight for equal justice under the law. It can't just be a concept, it has to be real. And what they believe today was their son did not get the consideration that he deserved in this matter. At this time, Attorney Jeff Storms, Minnesota's own, will address you briefly. And Attorney Tony Ramanucci couldn't be with us today, but then you will hear from the parents of Daunte Wright, and then we'll try to take some of your questions.
So I apologize. This is an older film. I apologize if y'all couldn't hear because I could barely hear and I got my headset in. But that was Benjamin Crump speaking on behalf of the family. He spoke a lot about how they felt, not how he felt, which I think is very important for people to listen to when you're listening to people speak on your behalf. He kept saying how the family felt that it was not right, how the family felt that this wasn't what they wanted. He never spoke on how he felt about it truly. With that being said, how you guys feel about this? So Kim Potter actually didn't even get the highest sentence that she could have gotten. She could have got, it should have been like almost, man, I think it was like a 7-year sentence was the max. She ended up getting lowest case instead. She ended up serving 16 months of her 24 that they gave her. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this next video because it'll make more sense. It'll explain a little bit more and we'll be able to hear a little bit better. So here we go.
Because we have learned in the last half hour, the former Brooklyn Center police officer convicted of shooting and killing Daunte Wright during a traffic stop 2 years ago, released from prison early this morning.
Kim Potter has served 16 months behind bars. The remaining 8 months of her sentence, that'll be on supervised release. So our Pauline Lee live outside of the Shakopee Women's Correctional Facility because, Pauline, we've learned much more over the past few minutes here.
Yeah, that's right. So Kim Potter was released at about 4 o'clock this morning, and that was in large part, according to the facility officials here, because of her safety, as there were elevated concerns leading up to today with threatening comments, as well as potential violent protests outside of the facility, which we have not seen yet today. Of course, this case still remains very controversial here. Her release comes less than 2 weeks after the Wright family marked 2 years since Potter shot and killed him during a traffic stop. And remember, Potter argued she mistook her taser for her gun. Now, Potter will actually head to Wisconsin to serve out her remaining 8 months under supervised release, which is part of an agreement Minnesota has with states around the country. Now, she'll have to adhere to a number of conditions that includes regular contact with an agent assigned to her to oversee her supervised release. She must also comply to random unannounced visits as well as searches of her property and regular drug and alcohol testing. And she also will not be able to buy any type of firearm or dangerous weapons. But new this morning, as of right now, Kim Potter is no longer here at the Minnesota Corrections Facility in Shakopee. She was released at 4 o'clock this morning, now headed to Wisconsin to serve out her supervised release.
And Pauline, just to be clear, she served 16 months behind bars. That's the law here in Minnesota. You get your sentence, you get 2/3 of it behind bars, and then the final third is that supervised release.
Yeah, those two terms are very similar, but they're different here in Minnesota. In fact, I asked the corrections facility here just what is the difference, but it really boils down to it's more of a legal issue than a practical one. So Minnesota uses a determining sentence. There really is no parole board here. Another way to look at it is parole supervision. That period is enforced by a parole board, whereas supervised release, that's enforced by the court. So slight difference, but here in Minnesota, we call it supervised release.
All right, our Pauline Lee, live person, Shakopee.
So there you have it. She's already been released. She ended up serving her last third of her sentence, actually in Wisconsin. So what is your guys' thoughts on this?
It's
Rest in
foolishness.
peace, Daunte.
Y'all both of y'all at the same time.
I'm lagging. I'm lagging on my end. Am I lagging on y'all?
No, we can hear you.
Nah,
Y'all's in. I'm
fine.
lagging. Okay.
Rest in
Don't
peace,
y'all
Daunte.
know that she? Yeah, rest in peace, Daunte, for sure. But don't y'all know that she was using his story at these places to teach other cops about I'm lagging.
Like de-escalation.
Yeah, like de-escalation.
Yeah, same thing Metcalf daddy doing in Texas.
She partnered with Imran Ali, one of the prosecutors who helped prosecute her case, to give presentations to law enforcement groups about shooting and preventing similar weapons and weapon confusion incidents. No. You don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be. There was a lot of controversy behind it, so they ended up canceling one of the seminars and whatnot. But you don't need to be doing that. It's like you smudging, you rubbing it in the parent's face. Yeah, type. That's how I would feel. You using my son's incident to, they can learn somewhere else. You don't need to be teaching it because you failed at what happened. Let somebody else teach it.
But I talked about this with, I don't know, I forgot the dude's first name. Y'all remember that Christie guy that got out of jail?
Yeah. Man, why you just took that from me?
I'll be ahead.
Tragedy and paycheck.
Yeah, I'll be ahead of all this stuff, man. I tell everybody, black people, we go on apology tours. White folks go on paycheck tours. I talked about this with the Christie. It was the same month that Jonathan Majors went on his. He needed a Martin Luther King wife, a Loretta King, and he went and apologized to everybody for his incident, and he had mental health issues, and he wanted to talk to a counselor, and he wanted to do all these things to apologize to the black community. When this white man and his wife went to prison, did a federal time, and got out, and they were on TikTok the next 10 minutes getting rich and got a new TV show. We are the only people who don't use whatever happens to us as an opportunity to go out and just be who you are. We go on apology tours all the time.
I can say this, Souls.
Yep.
Once you've paid, I want y'all to know, once you've paid for your indiscretion, when you've paid for it's over with. It's over with. There's no need to be feeling remorseful for what you've done. You paid your price. It's just like if you walked out of a store and you stole something, they say, just bring it back and just give us what you owe us. And then you can just go. Okay. Ain't no need to be out front of the store holding the sign, say, do not shoplift. You know what I mean? It's over with. It's a done deal. Once you paid your debt, that's what they call debt to society.
Yeah.
It's over with. So no longer will I be. No, I'm not apologizing for that. Man, this right here, this is turning tragedy into a paycheck.
Yeah.
You said it.
And she didn't have to do all her time. She got chump change. Man,
Yeah.
look, man, I know people got DUIs got longer time than she got for taking a whole life. Man, come on, man. Y'all better wake up. And she get to keep her pension too. Did she? Did she get to keep her pension too, Souls?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, that's sweet. Oh, that's just like stealing. That's like robbing the bank. Go and do your little 3-4 years and come out and keep the money.
Yeah.
That's sweet. But I'm trying to tell you, boy, it's sweet out here on y'all. But y'all better be y'all. But I'm telling you, better be mindful. It's sweet out here on y'all. Open season.
And let me give y'all a timeline. I'm gonna tell you how quick things move when they want them to move. So this is the timeline for the criminal case. April 13th, Potter police chief both resigned. So they both resigned on the 13th. April the 14th of 2021, she was charged with second-degree manslaughter. September the 2021, the prosecutor added a first-degree manslaughter charge. Her trial began 60 days later, November 30th, 2021. December 23, 2021, the jury convicted Potter on both first-degree and second-degree manslaughter after about 27 hours of deliberation. She was taken into custody. February 18, 2022, that judge that we just seen on that stand, that Chinese lady, Judge Chu, sentenced Potter to 24 months, a downward departure from the state guidelines, which recommended roughly 7 years for a first-degree manslaughter. Chu called it a case of a cop who made a tragic mistake. The 24 months turned into 16 months where she served in prison, with the remaining on supervised release, plus a $1,000 fine and credit of 58 days already served. May 2023, Potter was released from prison after serving her 16-month term. Minnesota attorney Ellison, who prosecuted the case, publicly stated he would not appeal the sentence, despite prosecutors having. Yeah, I wanted y'all to hear this part. See, they try. So the family and them tried to get them to appeal it and take them back to court to argue a longer sentence. But the judge in Minnesota said no. So then the civil case, June 21st, 2022, the Wright family reached a $3.25 million settlement with the city of the Brooklyn Center. At that time, the third largest civil rights wrongful death settlement of any kind in Minnesota history. The settlement was paired with a non-monetary commitment. The city guaranteed reform traffic policy. Y'all remember this part. It's going to be very vital. The settlement paired a non-monetary commitments. The city agreed to reform traffic stop policy, limiting stops for equipment-only violations, and two new officer trainings to de-escalation, implement bias and weapons confusion. These reforms were formalized through the Daunte Wright and Kobe Dominic Community Safety and Violence Prevention Act, passed by the Brooklyn Center of Council. I want y'all to remember that. I want y'all to remember what else was supposed to be given to this family. Because, we always talk about how do we make change? How do people get justice? So we're going to finish this segment off with the verdicts and outcomes that we just spoke about. And we're going to play this video for you guys.
Killed by police in 2021 says she is not giving up.
This after the Brooklyn Center City Council voted against a proposed traffic.
Let me play this. Let me start that over again for y'all.
All right, the mother of a man shot and killed by police in 2021 says she is not giving up.
This after the Brooklyn Center City Council voted against a proposed traffic stop resolution. Fox 9's Babs Santos is live in Brooklyn Center for us tonight, where there was a small demonstration over this. Babs?
Even before the demonstration, we tried to get interviews with city leadership today, but no one would make themselves available for an interview to talk about all of this while people were gathering here outside of the police department, claiming that the city is violating its settlement agreement.
You can't hide. You voted to kill Black lives.
Fallout continued in Brooklyn Center on Tuesday night after a 3-2 Monday night city council vote killed efforts to change police policy and training around traffic stops.
My son has been dead for 2 years and 9 months, and you guys say no to a policy that's going to protect people?
Daunte Wright's mother, Katie, says the changes were promised in a $3.25 million settlement with the city after then police officer Kim Potter killed Daunte almost 3 years ago.
They're cowards, complete cowards that are not wanting change. They bamboozled us.
At a protest outside the police department on Tuesday, Katie Wright described her anger and disappointment. She believes lives will be saved if police officers are no longer pulling over drivers with invalid registration, bad muffler, missing license plate lamp, objects suspended from the windshield, or broken headlight or tail light.
It was all written in a resolution that we agreed upon, and none of it has been fulfilled. So, and by them voting no last night, I feel like it's a violation of our settlement agreement, and I will be seeking further legal help.
Wright says she also plans to use her nonprofit to continue the push for these policy changes. She'd like to see a revote of Monday night's decision, or she'll bring this subject back up down the line.
Their vote last night wasn't the be-all, say-all.
A statement tonight from the mayor says, in part, the resolutions before our council were the result of 2 years of collaborative work with community, staff, and national experts. It was a final compromise that incorporated feedback from our police department. I'm extremely hurt, angry, and disappointed with the results of last night's vote.
So there you have it, guys. So this is why I wanted to bring up this series called Grifting, because I think a lot of people miss what the actual going on behind the scenes. And I always tell people, once you take the check, everything else is a rest. Like once you take that check, once you take that money, they're not going to listen to you no more. They're not going to talk to you no more. You won't see daddy being crump no more. No one's going to help and ensure that those things are pushed through. And you know what's really crazy about all this? All those millions of dollars is going towards everything she's trying to change. The system is just taking the money right back. That's all it's doing. And we can't even say this about race because the mama clearly is white.
And he's biracial.
So how do you guys feel about this outcome of a family who was promised something through a settlement? They got the check, but they didn't get the rest. How do you guys feel about this?
System failure. The system is failing. That system is failing. It's broken promises. You want the people, the public, to trust in your system, and you can't even go on your word. So how do you expect the people to trust in your system? That's sad. That's beyond sad. And it's sad that she has to continue to fight for this when it was in the settlement.
Let me show y'all. Let me show y'all something too. This is why I keep telling everybody, everything is very important. Even the mayor who denied her is minority.
You want us to comply. Why aren't y'all complying with that settlement?
This is Mayor right here, Ms. Graves, who said 2 years of collaborative efforts.
I wish
he's so stupid. He's so stupid. I'm telling you, y'all. I promise we're not laughing at the situation. This is plug.
But no, I'm laughing at the bamboozlement. This is absolutely fugazi.
And that's why I asked you guys, this series is going to be amazing because it's only going to get worse. Y'all know there's more stories after this. You got Sonia Massey, you got we got a ton of stories we're going to cover in this series. And that's why I'm asking everybody, what do we want? What is justice? What is justice? Is justice a check?
It must be, because that's how they say.